In today's Leeds news, Mahady loan, this weekend's loan watch, weekend Leeds United results, more pressure on Farke from media, rumour mill targets on Saibari, Betis aim frustrations at Leeds United, and growing interest in Meslier. Morning folks, welcome to the Leeds View for your Monday morning news, the 3rd of November, as we head into the final week before the next international break. And it's always difficult doing these videos on a Monday morning after a disappointing performance. Not necessarily the result, because I don't think many people expected to get a huge amount from that game, but the performance, I suppose, is what's stuck in everyone's throat this weekend. You can check out the breakdown that we did yesterday, short video going over the breakdown of all the goals that Leeds conceded, as well as the chances that they conceded, and some issues that Leeds will need to resolve going into next weekend's game. But again, thanks to everyone who's continued to support the channel. You can like and hype this video. It's still the main way to support this channel moving forward, and I really appreciate everyone who has done so far. But we'll start off today's news with the Rory Mahady loan. And Leeds United under-21 goalkeeper Rory Mahady has extended his initial short-term loan at Scunthorpe United for a further month. Under youth loans, the loan player can also represent their under-21 squad as well as their loan side, Scunthorpe, in this situation. Daryl Ombang went out last week on loan, and he is in the exact same position as this. So it's a little bit tight, I suppose, in goalkeeping for the under-21, but also both keepers getting plenty of game time in the coming weeks. Rory started at the weekend for Scunthorpe United, and although they lost the match, he did manage to make some important saves. We'll keep an eye on his loan progress at Scunthorpe over the course of the month, as well as his under-21 performances over on bigup.com. Let's move into this weekend's loan watch. Start off with Large Ramazani, and no Ramazani for Valencia in their 4-0 loss at home to Real Madrid this weekend. He is still out injured. Max Ferber officially off the injury table at Werder Bremen, but not fit enough for their squad for their trip to Mainz at the weekend. Isaac Schmidt, though, some more positive news for him, back involved in the game and came off the bench for a 10-minute cameo in Werder's 1-1 draw away at Mainz. Charlie Crew, though, again frustrating weekend for Crew, an unused sub for Doncaster Rovers yet again in their 2-0 away win at Crew Alexander. Joe Gelhardt, opposite fortunes for him, another goal for Joffe and a man of the match in Hull's 2-0 away win at Norwich. 6 goals in 11 games for Joffe now, 2 assists as well, 8 G&A in 11. Darko JB also scored in that game as well, so both Leeds players, or ex-Leeds players, on the score sheet there. Mateo Joseph started but was subbed off after 60 minutes in Mallorca's 3-0 away defeat at Real Betis, but again playing on the right wing as opposed to up front. And Rory Mahady played 90 minutes for Scunthorpe in their 1-0 away defeat at Blackpool. Good performance by him, some good saves up against ex-Leeds United goalkeeper Bailey Peacock Farrell, who was in goal for Blackpool. So yeah, these mixed bag for the loanees this weekend. We'll keep track of them over the next couple of weeks. Let's move on. Let's talk about the weekend results. Leeds under-21s came from behind twice to draw 2-2 with Brighton on Sunday. Reece Chadwick back involved with the Leeds United under-21s after a lengthy injury, and he equalised for Leeds just after half-time. Brighton took the lead again, but Leeds did equalise again through under-21 player of the month and right winger Harvey Vincent to give Scott Gardner's side a 2-2 draw. As I say, Rory Mahady also played in this game as well. Daryl Ombang was on the bench for this game, and it was great to see Harry Gray back involved with the under-21s. That side's getting a little bit stronger. Yeah, Reece Chadwick, Sam Chambers, Alfie Creswell, Harry Gray all back involved now, and Ollie Pickles and Harvey Vincent have been very good for them so far this season. Leeds United under-18s, though, game was abandoned at the weekend due to a serious injury to Leeds goalkeeper Oliver Wood. Wood was taken to hospital, and we wish him a very speedy recovery. We'll keep you up to date on the situation around Oliver once we hear it. Leeds women had a good 2-1 away win at Durham, moving into 4th place in the league, 2 points off the top, and all moving quite well for them, and an opportunity to get promoted this season. Let's move on to talk about Daniel Farke. Daniel Farke faces pressure every single time Leeds lose a game. He said he faces pressure when they even draw a game, but a nightmare fixture list coming up, and this block of 4 games before the international break gave Leeds their best opportunity to pick up some points before that. There is increasing pressure from the media now on Daniel Farke. He's the likely candidate now after Wolves have sacked their manager, West Ham have sacked their manager, and Nottingham Forest have sacked 2 managers. Daniel Farke appears to be the next one on the list for the media, but Leeds now have only got 1 win in their past 4 games, losing 3 of them, conceding 8 goals and only scoring 3. Premier League pundits Robbie Earle and Robbie Mustoe have warned Daniel Farke that his side is slipping into a risky position and it needs to be addressed if Leeds are hoping to stay in the division. There are some worrying comparisons as well to last season, and thanks to Dave Watkins who shared this on X today. But after 10 games last season, Leicester City sat in 15th place, 1 place higher than Leeds United on 10 points, 1 point less than Leeds United have so far this season. They were relegated at the end of the season with 34 points, and with the November-December games coming up for Leeds United and how bad that fixture list looks, Daniel Farke has been warned that the Forest game becomes a very, very important game for Leeds. Speaking on topic, Earl said the following: "I just feel that Leeds are starting to slip a bit, but Burnley and Leeds have got to hang in there, keep going. We don't know how Wolves and the likes of Forest and West Ham are going to do. Leeds have to try and do their best to stay in the league." After the Nottingham Forest game at the weekend, Leeds will have a little bit of a break for the international break, but then they come out of that and face Aston Villa, Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool back to back. And given Leeds' results coming off the back of an international break and then also the results in the past couple of weeks, it seems difficult to see where the extra points are going to come from for Leeds. But Leeds have shown at times this season that they can grind out results when they have to, and they'll need to find ways to pick up some draws and points along the way in those fixtures, even though they are tough. More importantly, stop conceding goals and be a little bit tougher to play against in matches. Farke picks up a win against Nottingham Forest that becomes 6 points in this block of 4 games, and that's a respectable total. Lose the game and the pundits reckon it would likely be a turning point for the fans that are sitting on the fence right now and pile pressure on a side that really doesn't need it right now. It'd be interesting to see what Daniel Farke does this week, what he says in the press conference and what decisions he makes going into the weekend's game against Nottingham Forest. It's going to be a tough game. There is a lot of pressure on that match now, and again, just looking at the results coming out of that, Leeds will want to try and do something in that match and alleviate some of the pressure that's around the place right now. You're never far away from a pylon, you're never far away from pressure on any manager in the Premier League, but it is important to try and chip away at points. That Burnley result is really the one that looks like it'll come back to haunt Leeds United this month, but hopefully we can get a result at the weekend and hopefully it takes a little bit of the edge off. You can go into an international break a little bit more calm and then come out of that and hopefully then try and book a trend on the returning match after international games, and also just try and chip away a couple of points in that block of 4 games after that. Let's move on and talk about the rumour mill. As always with this, take this with a healthy pinch of salt. It is just a rumoured story at this point. But despite what Robbie Evans said about Leeds United's PSR situation after the summer window, Leeds will need to get very creative and will have to reinforce this squad come January or risk the worst case scenario happening at the end of the season. According to the Boot Room, they claim that Leeds United and Aston Villa both have serious interest in PSV Eindhoven's attacking midfielder Ismail Saibari. Saibari is an attacking midfielder who will likely be at the African Cup of Nations this December, but so far this season, in 11 games in the league, he has scored 8 goals and added 1 assist, and in the Champions League this season, he has 2 goals in 3 Champions League appearances. 24-year-old is an exciting attacking player, but carries an incredibly high price tag for Leeds' budget right now of €30 million. That's about 26.5 million pounds. Something that Leeds likely don't have in January again, unless they get a little bit creative. In 120 appearances in all competitions for PSV Eindhoven, Saibari has scored 33 goals and added 21 assists. He's only signed a new deal last summer, so there won't be any cheap option for Leeds United should they try and make a move for him. And he's likely, as I say, well outside of Leeds United's price bracket right now. If Leeds want to advance in the Premier League and become that established side that they want, and they'll need some attacking flair in there somewhere along the way, these are the types of players that Leeds will hope to try and get. But given Leeds' budget and given the fact that there is interest from Aston Villa, West Ham United also labelled as having interest in the player as well, and the club below Leeds are also making moves or planning to make moves this January. It just seems a very unlikely one for Leeds United to be able to get. The budget seems the big one, and also the position in the league probably isn't the overly appealing. It'll likely be a higher end Premier League side in the division that will likely make a move for Saibari. But yeah, good player. Be a very exciting one to get. Could we pull off a Rafinha-esque type transfer here as well, but he's a very exciting player. He's a good player. But yeah, you can keep an eye on him on the AFCON as well when he goes away in December with Morocco. Let's move on. Let's talk about Real Betis airing their laundry. Real Betis didn't get the deal they wanted in the summer for striker Mateo Joseph, despite their public confidence in getting a deal done. Leeds owners rate Mateo Joseph's long-term potential at the club and refused to put a purchase option into any potential loan this summer. And Betis, at this point, are still upset about missing out on the player and continue to go down the public route to air their frustrations. According to ABC, they claim that Betis remained frustrated over the failure to get a striker this summer, and Mateo Joseph was their primary target. They say that Joseph was chosen by their sporting director, and there was a feeling that they would get a deal done this summer. They spoke about it quite a lot over the course of the summer, so they definitely did have confidence in that. And they also claimed that Joseph wanted out of Leeds United and his preference was a move to Real Betis. A source told ABC the following: the deal was very close with Betis, who were the first club to show interest, but it couldn't be finalised. They claimed that Leeds' high demands resulted in the deal collapsing, and they say that Leeds United would only consider a purchase option of over 15 million euros, so about 13.5 million pounds. So you assume that means purchase option on a loan deal, as Betis were consistently rumoured with making a loan move for Joseph this summer. There's also speculations they may even have a look at revisiting this situation come January, which would be a little bit more difficult to do considering he's on a season-long loan at Mallorca. It's not impossible, but it is slightly more trickier. But Betis' history of lowballing Leeds United and lowballing most sides in terms of transfers, and their preference towards loan deals over permanent deals and options, means it's incredibly unlikely that they will be able to do anything in January for Mateo Joseph. But they'll likely be talked about again. They'll likely be talked about again in the summer. But Joseph currently doing okay, I suppose, not scoring huge amounts of goal, but is getting game time at Real Mallorca, but they sit very much in the bottom half of La Liga so far this season. Let's move on. Talk about increasing Illan Meslier interest, and it appears that Anderlecht's interest in Leeds United goalkeeper Illan Meslier has sparked other clubs into action, and that may help Leeds United's situation come January. Anderlecht, as we covered last week in the news, are said to have real interest in a move for Illan Meslier, but Club Brugge were also linked at the back end of last week in a move for Meslier, but they're not the only sides said to be interested. According to Voteball News, who broke the story last week, they claim that Standard Liège and Lorient both plan to make a move for the player as well. Lorient was said to prefer a free option at the end of this season, but they may be forced into action if other clubs decide to make a move for the shot stopper in January, and it will likely continue to be the main source of exit rumours from Leeds United heading into the January transfer window. If Leeds are going to get any kind of decent PSR money in, it'll likely be from Meslier, but it is said to still very much be, whether they call it a solidarity payment or a nominal fee for the player at this point. That seems to be the likely route that this one will go. But yeah, as I say, massive thanks to everyone who's watched the channel and supported over the last couple of weeks. We'll keep an eye on these situations as we move forward. Podcast out tomorrow night. We'll look ahead to the 5 games after the international break with Paul and Jerry, get their take on where Leeds have been in this block of 4, as we normally do at the end of a 4-week block or end of a block before an international break. But yeah, back tomorrow morning with the news. Massive thanks to everyone for watching the content and supporting the channel. You can check out the breakdown over on the site if you want to watch that. Our last week's news videos are also available. Outside that, enjoy the rest of your day. Talk to you soon. See you later. Bye.